Mini Matthew, and I have with me Dr. Satyajit Deshpande, Principal of JG College of Commerce. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Every year we have hundreds of students who are inclined to go abroad for studies. And this informal talk show is basically for all of you who feel bewildered at times and do not know what are the kind of courses you should pursue, where you want to go, and how you would like to go about it. And we have over here with us as an expert over here on this discussion, we have Dr. Deshpande, who will let us know whether we will be able to find the right answers. And I'll begin over here right away without wasting too much of a time. Let's begin with how and why do more and more Indian students prefer to study abroad?
Okay, thank you very much, madam. See, more and more Indian students prefer to study abroad mainly because of two reasons. The first reason is the quality of higher education, and second is the quality of life. Now, Indian universities are really improving by leaps and bounds. Government is also putting in a lot of efforts. Just before a couple of days, the government has approved the new education policy.
Right.
But still, there is a long way to go.
Right.
If you see the world rankings for higher education institutes, say for example, you take the Times Higher Education.
Right.
Now, in the ranking, no Indian university features among top 200.
Oh, that's very unfortunate.
Yes, you will find 6 to 7 Chinese universities, but none of the Indian universities or any institute of higher education has been able to make it there. And same is in QS, Coprolli-Simon's ranking. Of course, there are 2 or 3 institutes. IIT Bombay is there, IIT Delhi is there, Indian Institute of Science Bangalore is there. But most of these colleges and institutes are technology and science based, whereas our students mainly are from commerce background, so they will like to join management schools. They will like to join courses related to finance and accounting. So more and more Indian students prefer to go abroad for higher education is mainly because the quality of higher education is much better in foreign countries as compared to India. And I'm sure that Indian universities will catch up very soon.
Right.
The second important reason for Indian students to prefer the foreign universities is a better standard of living, a better quality of life. Now, as most of you would be aware that when you take admission in a foreign university, this foreign education is a gateway for getting PR citizenship.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
no doubt, the quality of life in a developed country would always be much better as compared to a developing country like India. So I think these are the two main reasons. Students want to settle in those countries, and if you have studied there, it makes that much easier for you to get the PR and citizenship. So I think these are the reasons that a student should actually consider studying abroad.
That's right. That's right. We also have a lot of students, because we're talking about JG group of colleges that way. So we have a lot of students from, computer application. We have students from BBA. Those are doing nursing and physiotherapy. And I'm sure it would really throw light to all of these students who are keen on going abroad. With that, I think I would like you to throw some light, Dr. Satyajit, on if you could just be advising students, especially during the pandemic. Is it advisable for students to consider going abroad, especially with the pandemic situation over here? What do you and how would you like to help the students out, those who have these kind of queries coming up?
See, I always feel that a career decision for a student is a long-term decision. And these long-term decisions should not be taken on the basis of short-term events.
That's
and
right.
This COVID-19 is definitely a short-term event.
I hope so.
Within next couple of years, I think it will subside significantly, if not disappear. And see, by staying back in India, your chances of getting the infection do not reduce.
Absolutely. That's
Okay.
right.
So whether you are in India or in USA, you will have to maintain social distancing, you will have to wear the mask, you will have to use the sanitizers and take all the precautions.
Absolutely.
So just because of this pandemic, okay, you take a knee-jerk decision that I will not go to a foreign country. It does not make sense. So I think the student should take this decision with a calm mind, with a long-term perspective. And students should remember one very important point, that if they begin with the procedure today, they will end up in the foreign university a couple of years later. So we are just asking them, our students, to start preparing, to initiate the procedure so that within 2 years they will be able to go there. And by that time, I'm quite confident that the things will be much better. So this COVID-19, in a nutshell, should not prevent them from thinking about foreign education.
I absolutely agree with that, Dr. Deshpande. I really agree with that. And yes, why not? I mean, the COVID cannot defeat us.
Yes.
We are prepared to definitely take COVID head on with all the precautions, as you rightly mentioned. Absolutely right. With that, I would like to ask you my next question is, what is the first step that a student requires to take, as in when he or she is considering going abroad for studies?
Now see, if the student has already made up the mind that he or she would like to go for a foreign university, the very first thing is that he or she will have to appear for IELTS. So IELTS is the first step they will have to take if they want to pursue education in a foreign college or foreign university.
All right, so that's mandatory.
Yes.
And therefore there should be no delay on that. And all those students who really aspire to go abroad must first and foremost decide, even before they decide on the colleges, that they need to get a good band, I guess, for IELTS and prepare for the training as well. Can you please elaborate a bit more about IELTS then, in that case?
IELTS basically is a test of English language. The full form of IELTS is International English Language Testing System.
Correct.
And there are 5 countries which will accept these IELTS bands. These are the 5 English-speaking countries: Canada, USA, UK, Australia, and New Zealand. So if the students want to take admission in higher education institutes in these 5 countries, they will have to first appear for IELTS.
Right.
Now, we should also know that IELTS is of 2 types. One is IELTS academic,
correct,
and the second is IELTS general training. So our students who want to pursue higher education in these countries, they will have to go for IELTS academic.
correct.
If someone wants to settle in these 5 countries, then they will have to go for the IELTS general training.
That's right.
Then the students should know that there are 4 main sections in IELTS. The first section is listening, the second is reading, third is writing, and finally speaking. So there are 4 sections in IELTS. I would also like to inform the students that there are 2 main agencies which conduct IELTS. The first is IDP Australia,
Yes.
and the second is the British Council, United Kingdom. Right? Then there are 2 different modes. The students can either take paper-based IELTS or they can take computer-based IELTS.
Yes.
And generally, the money or the fees which they charge, whether it is IDP or British Council, they charge around 14,000 rupees for this.
That's right.
So this is the basic information about IELTS.
Okay, I think that makes sense, of course. Then in that case, we all know, Dr. Deshpande, that students are afraid when it comes to English, particularly in a state like Gujarat. You find that students aren't really very confident. The eagerness and the enthusiasm probably to do a course abroad is there, but then when it comes to English speaking, suddenly there is a kind of fear that is there amongst our students. So can you please throw some information or give us some information about the bands that are required, which would qualify them to take admissions abroad?
Yes. So basically, there are 9 bands.
Okay.
And I think if the student manages to get around 6.5, that is good enough to get admission in a reasonably good college. Of course, higher the better. But I think 6.5 should suffice.
All right. So this kind of, you just need to aim. If you're really struggling, you really need not worry, but you kind of keep that in mind, that 6.5, which means that you're qualified and you can take the next step and go abroad. Yes, I'm sure that's encouraging for many of the students who are really so scared about the bands particularly. Will you also please throw more light on the listening section, because I believe many of the students have difficulty when it comes to listening, since the accents are not very Indian, not the Indian speakers. Right. So naturally they would be, wondering how they'll be able to do that. So would you like to guide the students on how they can improve their listening skills if at all they are going to take this test?
Yes. See, in IELTS, listening is the very first section. Students will get 40 questions in listening spread across 4 sections.
Okay.
The first section is a telephonic conversation between 2 people, and generally it is related to some social need. For example, one person wants to book a hall for an event, and therefore he makes a telephonic call to the customer care executive or the receptionist in the hall. And then he inquires about the price, the availability, the additional facilities. So students will have to listen this telephonic conversation very carefully, and on the basis of that, there will be certain fill in the blanks which they will have to write. So this is the first section, telephonic conversation between 2 people related to a social need. The second section is a monologue, and generally this monologue may be related to a map or a chart or a graph. The third section is again a conversation between 3 to 4 people, and this time it is more rigorous. It is either research oriented or it is related to academics. And finally, once again the last section, the fourth section is a monologue, but this time it is much deeper. Once again, this monologue revolves around some academic issue or research oriented topic. For example, a lecture which is being delivered by a professor, and the students have to listen to it and answer the questions. So basically, the students or the candidates will be given headphones, and an audio will be played. They will have to listen the entire audio very carefully, and after listening, because the audio is played only once, so they have to listen very carefully, and it requires a lot of practice. And then they will have to answer the questions. Now, the total time which is given to the students for the listening section is 30 minutes. And 10 extra minutes are given to them to transfer their answers into the answer sheet. So this is precisely all about the listening section.
Alright, so that means that the students will really have to upgrade their listening skills, particularly because they are really not used to listening to foreign accents, right? So they will have some difficulty, but I'm sure that can be taken care of as well. After all, we are aspiring for 6.5 bands, if for most of the students who find it difficult. Those who are excellent would come up to 8.5, I'm sure. You also have, we also have another question, like, what do you think for an average student who's not really that excellent, in speaking, writing, listening, reading, and is not really pretty much very confident, then could you please let us know, Dr. Deshpande, like what is the preparation time for a student? How much time can he or she take to prepare, and how will he or she be able to go about it?
I think if the student is taking coaching from a good institute, it should not take more than 2 months for fully preparing for the IELTS. So if you take coaching with a good coaching institute,
even an average student?
Yes, even an average student. I think 2 months are sufficient. With the right kind of coaching and guidance, I am sure that students will be able to manage. After all, most of them are almost graduates. They are final year students, those who are aspiring to go abroad. So it should not be very difficult.
All right. Okay, so, well, it means that you really commit yourself to those 2 months, like, thoroughly practicing the ins and outs, and you will be able to clear. That's good. That's great. What are the factors, Dr. Deshpande, that should be kept in mind for these students while selecting coaching institutes, especially for IELTS?
Of course, there are a couple of very good institutes providing IELTS coaching in Ahmedabad, but unfortunately, there are not too many. Most of these coaching institutes are foreign education consultants. Now, they are really very good with the admission procedure, they are really very good with the formalities, but they are not experts in language. So, whenever the student is planning to take coaching, I would suggest them that they should prefer an institute which specializes in teaching.
Okay.
The teacher should be highly qualified and they should be experienced, and I think that makes sense.
I totally agree with this, because you can be easily duped by people telling you, selling
Yes.
the so-called classes by saying
Exactly.
that we would help you with a visa and we'll help you get the band that you require. And then many of our students also, Dr. Deshpande, we have heard many of them
Yes.
who have gone to different institutes across the city, and they come back with saying
Exactly.
that, well, I just got 515 band.
Yes.
And that's quite depressing for the student as well, because then 5.5 means you really don't clear the criteria that is required.
Yes.
Then I would like to ask you, that what would you suggest to the students? How under such circumstances, since they do not really know, do you have a suggestion, and is there a plan that we have that you would like to share with the students?
Yes. See, taking a right decision is very important, because every time you get less bands and you want to improve upon your score or bands, you will have to spend extra 14,000 rupees.
Yes, that's
So
right.
that is very important. So sometimes students end up, students feel that this is my consultant. He's going to do my entire procedure,
Correct.
and free of cost is going to give me the coaching. So they feel that this is free, but they end up paying additional 14,000 rupees for the second attempt, third attempt.
Oh yes.
So that's the reason that now, since the students do not have too many good choices and options in Ahmedabad, JGIEPS has decided to begin with the IELTS coaching, especially for the students of GG group of colleges.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, that answers it.
Yes.
Knowing very well that, Dr. Deshpande, that so many students have come back and been telling us
Yes.
stories about how badly, the kind of coaching classes have been. I think this was a collective decision made by
Yes.
JG group of colleges, that
Exactly.
we should be able to deliver very good kind of coaching for our students,
Exactly.
such that they would be able to get a decent band. Of course, 6.5 is what the universities ask for, but we do have staff who
Yes.
would be more than willing to deliver.
Yes.
Would you like to talk about that, Dr.
Yes.
Deshpande?
Yes. See, I would say that there are 4 distinct advantages of getting IELTS coaching from JG.
Okay.
Number 1, we may have around 4 instructors for 4 different sections.
That's
So this-
good. That's really good.
So someone specializes in coaching the students exclusively in listening.
Very
The
good.
other fellow exclusively focuses on speaking, and so on.
Yes.
Now see, 2 of those faculty members are PhDs in English literature.
Okay.
2 of them are having an experience in teaching for more than 2 decades. So that makes a difference. These are hardcore academicians who are going to deliver high quality discourses, and this is the first major advantage. The second advantage is that students will not be required to go anywhere. They will not be required to travel anywhere.
Yes.
So most of them are studying in GG group of colleges.
Yes.
So they will get this coaching, they will get this training in the campus itself. So they will save on time and the transportation cost.
Absolutely.
So that is the second advantage. Of course, if we are planning to begin very soon, due to the pandemic, initially we will have online classes.
Yes.
But as soon as the things normalize, we will be conducting the classes in the campus itself.
Absolutely.
So that would be a big advantage for the students. Number 3 I would say that we are in the process of preparing very high quality reading material for the students.
Yes.
So we will provide them very good quality reading material, worksheets, workbooks, practice books. So that would be a big advantage. So compared to the other institutes, we plan to have a much better quality material. And finally, we are planning to have a reasonable fee for our student. Most of these institutes, they are charging somewhere around 12 to 13,000 for
Yes.
IELTS coaching.
Absolutely.
Now these are our students. So we are not here to make the money because there are many other sources we have.
Yes.
So
yes.
here basically, so we have planned that we will give this course.
Yes.
We will give IELTS coaching to our students at a very reasonable fee of 9,000 rupees, which is quite reasonable as compared
Absolutely.
to the other
Absolutely.
institutes.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sure this is good news to all of you who are watching this live talk show right away. That you see from the way Dr. Deshpande has just explained, you must remember that there are very, very few institutes who actually think about your students' welfare. And this is where JG makes all the difference. You see, it's having experience of having taught for more than 2 decades, as Dr. Deshpande rightly mentioned, does not mean that you just conduct examinations, you give them the marks, and then you send out every year graduates after graduates after graduates. Your purpose is to understand where did the students, the previous batches, I guess, where did they lack, and what is it that you can improve on those students. And rightly said, JG has tapped in the right energy, the right time. JG is ready with the faculty and of course with a lot of students who would definitely want to take advantage. By now, I'm sure many of the students have experienced that the teachers are always there for the students. Call them anytime and they are there, even pandemic or no pandemic. I guess the best part about JG is the faculty who is 100% committed to delivering the best. And I'm sure all of you students are watching over there, regardless of whether you are going to go in a year or so. I'm sure you should be planning for 21, I think, sir, for those of you, for those of the students who were planning to go after the TY for 21 intake, if you were planning, that is maybe January intake or the September intake. I'm sure this is the right time for them to register for the course over here at JG. Yes. So JG Institute of English and Professional Studies, as the name itself, is committed to delivering the best quality for all those students who want to learn English. As the course, the institute itself is about English and professional studies. We'd like you to definitely know English, not just dabble in English. We want you all students who come over here to feel confident that yes, you would be able to speak in English. Just recently, Dr. Deshpande, I'm sure you're aware of this, that we started with the University of Hyogo, Japan.
Right.
We started a fantastic partnership program. For those of you students who are not aware of this program, we have from JG Group of Colleges, students who have registered for the course. So we have 30 students who registered for this course. They will be teaching English to the students of University of Hyogo, Japan. And the Japanese students from University of Hyogo will be teaching Japanese to our students. Now, that's what we call global education, right? Reaching out from a small place over here in Ahmedabad, going right across to Japan and, being able, and the students doing it. Please remember this, that it's not we teachers who are doing it. We are giving those opportunities to our students. And the moment we announced this, there were students who kind of grabbed this opportunity. And the first class commences right today, this evening at 7:30 p.m. So you can imagine how exciting it can be. So you need not worry, those of you students who are sitting there across listening to us over here, you need not worry. You just need to immediately connect with us and come to JG and ask us. We would be more than willing to provide you the much required guidance. And as JG Group of Colleges, we are 100% dedicated to delivering whatever you expect of us. We have a very committed team, and it will be long before JG really steps into global education. with so many other courses coming up shortly. So, would you like to wind up, Dr. Deshpande, on this and kind of just give the last kind of encouraging words to the students?
See, as a well-wisher and as a teacher, I would like more and more students to study abroad. They should take education from the best institute, and then they should come back to our country and utilize all that knowledge for the welfare of the people of this country. I could have talked about the writing section, then I could have talked about the reading section, the speaking section, but we did not want to make the session very formal and technical.
Correct.
All those things will be discussed once the students come to us, and we will guide them. So what I can say is that I wish all the students all the best. Okay, these are few years where you have to make your career. So if you work hard for the next 3 to 4 years, the entire life you will really enjoy. You will reap the benefits of what you sow in these 3-4 years. And if you waste the time, if you don't plan your career right now, the remaining years will be miserable. And we as teachers, we don't want our students to suffer. So that's the reason that we are here today with this talk show, to encourage you, to guide you, to suggest you what you should do. And we are always open to our students. You can drop in anytime. Right now I can't say that because of the pandemic situation. You can call us, okay, or online we can meet, okay. So all the best. Thank you very much.
Great. So I guess before we wind up, my dear children, this is a wonderful message that I'd like to just give you. You know, they say you can take the horse to the water, you can't really make it drink, you know. So here we are. We want the very best for you at JG. We really want you to raise your head high and not just be part of the college, but part of our country. And wherever you go, you make us proud, okay? So at JG Institute of English and Professional Studies, and on behalf of JG Group of Colleges, I'd just like to tell you all, you have the right to be you, to be us. Thank you all.